Doug Feinberg, the Associated Press. Kalani, what does it mean to actually finally be here at the Final Four?
I'm happy. I couldn't be happier. I'm just ecstatic to be here.
Next question. We'll go right here in the aisle.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN.com for Lauren and Kalani. When you look at the contrasting styles of play of what you guys like to do, what Oregon likes to do, it almost feels like new school basketball versus old school basketball. How do you feel like you would describe the matchup between you guys?
We're more of an inside-out kind of team. Obviously, we have two big post players inside, and they're more of a 41 kind of team, one player inside and 4 out, 1 in.
Kalani, do you want to take that too?
Oh, I mean, she pretty much covered it. Just piggybacking off what she said, they're more of a 41 team, and we use more post game. Our game is pretty much ran through our posts.
Question down here, Mark. It's coming on this side, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle Vogel from ESPN.com. Chloe, I can remember talking to you earlier this year and just how excited you were about everything that's happened this season. I know you still got a lot left you want to accomplish the next couple of days, but can you put in perspective what this journey's been like for you just coming here and everything that's, that you've done here?
I would say it's been a dream come true. I couldn't have written it a better story, honestly. I came here, wanted to win and to get to a Final Four, and we achieved that. We won the Big 12 and got to a Final Four, but we're not content. So just want to keep pushing, stay focused to win a championship.
Question right here in the back.
Nick Anazales, KC, and Lauren. Coach has been here, many times. The entire coaching staff have been to the Final Four a lot. But what type of advice have they given you, knowing that, hey, enjoy yourself, enjoy the moment, but also it's a business trip as well?
She's just trying to keep us focused. Our goal, our motto this year was Together to Tampa, and she says we can't be content with just getting here. We have to stay focused and want to make it all the way.
Anything else for the student athletes? Right down here in front.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Lauren, with that 4-1 plan that they have, does that make you have to get out, stretch out, and how much has it helped that you've already played that kind of team before?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go out and guard on the perimeter some, guard the three-point shot, and I've been doing that all year, so that definitely helps to have that experience.
Anything more for the student athletes? Okay, if nothing else, we will let them back into the open locker room. That will remain open until 11:40. I also wanted to, while I see him, introduce Kyle, the Baylor SID, in case you guys ever need anything off the podium. Go speak to Kyle. And we'll take questions. We'll start right here with Andrea for Coach Mulkey.
And Coach Mulkey, same question to you that I asked. Same question that I asked the players. Would you agree with the maybe characterization that this could be looked at as old school basketball versus new school basketball and the different ways that you all play?
No, I don't. You play to your personnel. I'm 6'7" and 6'4". I'm not going to bring them outside and tell Kalani, you go outside and start shooting threes. You play, you change, you adapt to whatever your personnel is capable of doing. I have two freshman posts that are more athletic, and you don't see us run the same stuff when they go in the game. So I guess you could call me old if you want to. You can call me old-fashioned. I'm good with all of it. I just play to win.
Question right here in front.
Coach, what do you remember about the first Final Four? It was like weren't you at it? And
Yeah.
how small was it compared to now?
I think that first banner you see out there was 1982, and I was a part of that team. I don't remember a whole lot about a lot of things, but was it Cheney State?
Yep.
Vivian Stringer? Tell him, Mel. Oh, Mel's older than me. Deborah Rodman, that name familiar to you. Her brother's Dennis Rodman. She and I came off the bench, and I think either we were co-MVPs and all that, and the only reason I was even considered is Vivian pressed us, and I love to attack presses because I always had these assists at the other end to Rodman and Lawrence. So that's what I remember, is who we played, what they did to us, and how effective I was in breaking the press.
Question down here in the corner.
There's been so much attention on your two bigs in the past couple of games, but how important is Chloe Jackson to this team? And obviously with switching her position earlier this year, what was, I guess, the biggest adjustment or the adjustment she had to spend maybe most time working on earlier this season?
Well, guys, we're in the Final Four, and we don't have a true point guard. So imagine starting your season anticipating that you're going to have this great point guard, and you have to, or anticipate you got to get rid of your quarterback in football, and you've got to take a wide receiver and you got to put them at quarterback, and that's what we had to do. And I just think the experience that she has had collegiately helped her. She doesn't get too high, she doesn't get too low. The thing that I had to do is I had to work extra hard, and I didn't anticipate that. And when I say that, it's every day. I had to teach her everything about our defense, everything about offenses. She's responsible for everybody on that floor. Her personality is not where she's a big talker, so I had to teach her to open her mouth, communicate, and I had to do it quickly. And that kid and what she has done is amazing. The thing I didn't want to do is take away her scoring ability. She, in my opinion, she's one of the best mid-range shooters that I've ever coached, and I would have to think in the country. You know, when Chloe misses a shot, you're surprised, but she keeps shooting, and she hits those big shots in the clutch for you. So, yes, we certainly are known for our bigs throughout probably my coaching career at Baylor. But we also have some pretty darn good perimeter players. We have some outstanding role players. And then you take the Fab Five freshmen that sit over there that, you know, they were the #1 recruiting class in the country. And when you mix all that together and they're happy and they like each other, that's a blessing this day and time.
Question right down here, Doug.
Kim, can you talk a little bit about your journey over the last few years to what it means to get back to a Final Four? I mean, some places, not to take it for granted, but UConn's here every year it seems. Notre Dame's been here a lot. But for you, the journey to get a team back here and what it means to you?
In 2005, when we won the first national championship, and it was the first time Baylor had been to a Final Four, I sat at that press conference and I said, enjoy it. I don't know if we'll ever be back. It's just so hard. And we knew we were creating a monster, and we have to keep feeding that monster. So what you try to do is you try to remain relevant. You try to, you know, continue to recruit, that championship opened doors for us in recruiting, and then we came back in 10. We went to San Antonio, lost to UConn in the semifinals, and came back again in 12 and went 40-0. We've lost some really heartbreaking tourney games, but I walked off that floor realizing that team just played unbelievable. It wasn't like we gave it away. It wasn't like we played bad. It just happens. That's why they call it March Madness. And you know, you just keep plugging away, you keep working, and we're here again. You know, I don't look at it like, oh my gosh, it's been 7 years. I look at it like Baylor's still an elite program. They're in their 4th Final Four. Coaches coach a lifetime and never make it. I just don't tend to put a time frame on it. I just want to always be one of the teams talked about that has a chance to be there every year, and I think we have always been that type of program.
Question right down here on the side.
Hey, Kim, Ryan Thorburn with the Register Guard. I was just curious about some of your Oregon ties. What do you remember about winning the championship in Eugene back in the day before it was the NCAA tournament, and then also facing Oregon in 2005 on the way to the Final Four? What do you remember about that as well?
Well, Coach Barmore probably won't want me to tell y'all this because, you know, I think Michelle did a story about the way you used to could coach and the way you have to coach now. Let's go back to Eugene when I was playing. I think it was USC. Who did we beat in the semifinal, or was it Tennessee?
So you beat USC and then Tennessee.
Okay. And I say this, so don't make him out to be a bad guy, but this is the kind of coach he was. What was the score of that game? Can you look it up? It was the semifinal. It was pretty convincing. It wasn't? Yeah, we won 16 points, so we're excited. We get in that locker room, and they had trash cans. I'm telling you, he let those trash cans fly. And we just sat there and we go, we're getting ready to play for a national championship, and you're throwing trash cans. But we loved it because he knew we were that close to a national championship. And it was just the intensity of the moment. And what's wrong with that? He didn't hit any of us, right? He got our attention. Here I am, 56 years old, and I remember the moment. And we can laugh about it and talk about how wonderful it was, but he got us ready for that championship game. Now, he'll probably say, oh, I didn't do that. And then we go on and win a national championship. I remember people saying, getting mean in Eugene, whatever that meant. Then the second time, we played at Baylor to win that first national championship in 2005. Things I remember, Chelsea Whitaker had to go get IVs. She would be one of these that she just sweat a lot, and her entire body would just cramp. And that's your starting point guard that we're having to nurse back to health to win a couple games there. Bev was your coach, right? So those are things I remember. I can't tell you specifics of the game, but the excitement of 2005 for our school and our program started out there, and it just continued on to the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, which is no longer there.
Question down here in front.
Kim, Gino, in a conference call, TC said at Notre Dame, I think we're playing the best team in the country. Is that wheelhouse for you? I mean, you think you're top seed?
No. Look, timing is everything in life. Timing is everything. We just kept winning, and everybody else would lose a conference game or a conference tournament game. So we were the fortunate one to be selected to get the overall #1 seed. It really doesn't motivate me. It doesn't offend me.
Another thing, from afar, everyone talks about Muppet and Gino. As a competitor yourself, can you understand where competition, striving to be the best, creates animosity or competitive or?
Sure. Listen, we would all be best friends if we weren't coaching. Hell, some of us may be married to each other if we weren't coaching. Right? You have the same interest, you know? But when you're coaching your respective universities, you know, it's not like you kissing your sister and loving on them every day. And usually type A personality coaches butt heads from what we do for a living. And, you know, it's just the nature of the successful coaches, and not just in women's basketball. You can go to pro football. There's, you know, it may come across as personal sometimes, but honestly, if we weren't doing what we were doing, we'd all be best friends. I really believe that. Probably, because we would have no reason to not like each other. We would talk sports, you know, some would go sit around and drink beer together. I'm not a drinker, so that, you know, would bore the heck out of me, but I'd drink a lot of Cokes with them. I just can't see why you wouldn't, you know, get along if you weren't competitors.
Question over here for Jerry.
Kim, you talked about that 5 freshmen. When you're recruiting a class like that, how much do you kind of talk to, with today's age, with transfers, how much do you talk about playing time and stuff like that coming in? And then how big have they been with this team?
Well, I don't talk playing time. I talk about the position I'm recruiting you to play. I talk to them about our personality. I talk to them about how tough their freshman year will be at any major university. And then I let them ask any questions they want to ask about me. There's nothing off limits with me. And that's the truth. You would be amazed at some of the questions I get asked. Can't guarantee playing time. Can't guarantee championships. Can't guarantee that you're going to get drafted. That's out of my control. But what I do guarantee those families is that I will get your daughter home with a college degree. I don't know how long it will take, but you will leave Baylor. The only reason you wouldn't get a college degree from Baylor is if you walk away from it, or if I have to dismiss you from the team, or you transfer. And that's about the only thing I tell them is my gift back to you and your family is that college degree. Obviously, I think you're good enough to play for me, or I wouldn't be recruiting you. But you can't talk playing time with people. That's where you get in trouble.
How big have they been with this team?
Those 5 freshmen, unbelievable. If you hadn't seen it, I hope they posted. Queen Egbo was just dunking the ball left and right in practice. Akira DaCosta was tipping in dunks, and I'm sitting there with my mouth wide open like, where's that been all year? Those kids came to Baylor to experience this, to win Big 12 championships. They knew what was in front of them, and the unselfishness of watching them work every day and beat each other up in practice and then cheer each other on in a game, it's a lost form of team chemistry right now with all the transfer stuff you have going on, because it's all about the welfare of the student athlete this day and time. And to have 12 of them on a team that pull for each other, and you don't have to sit there and worry about pouty kids or playing time and all that stuff, man, that makes it fun.
Question from Michelle right there.
Yeah, Coach. I know Lauren's been Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year the last 2 years. I think she's one of the best post defenders in college. Can you just talk about her evolution? She came in really good, but it just seems like she has really expanded just how good of a defensive player she is.
Michelle, you're right, but I'm going to go you one further than that. I think she's one of the best defenders at any position. She could defend any position on the floor if I asked her to. That's what separates her from other people who think their kid is the best defensive player in the country. Well, you may be down on the block as a post player, but can you go out there and guard a 3 player? Can you go out there and guard the point guard if I get in trouble with my point guard defender? That kid can play any position on the court. She can defend any position on the court. She alters shots. She has a coach's mentality and understands and can see things happen before they happen. She'll put herself in a position to be a great help defender and help a teammate. She will communicate with a teammate. She understands the game probably as good as any player that I have ever coached.
Question right here in the back. Or sorry, 3rd row. There you go.
Chad Conine, Waco Tribune Herald. Kim, I think you guys monopolized the top 5 spots in the Big 12 stats and its assist-to-turnover ratio. Is that something that's been better than average this year for you guys, and why has that been that way?
I think you start with Chloe Jackson and her unselfishness. Chloe can score the ball and does score for us, but Chloe has a knack to get everybody else involved. And, we preach it all the time that I'm going to take you out of the game if you turn the ball over and you don't play defense. Now, I'm going to put you back in at some point. But if you don't take them out, how do you ever fix that? How do you ever correct it? Just telling them in a timeout, quit turning the ball over? Well, that goes through one ear and out the other. But if you put them on that bench, they'll remember it. It's not something that you overemphasize with this team at the beginning of the year because, like I said, we don't have a true point guard. So I didn't know if we were going to be a team that threw it all over the gym and we were going to be wild. But quickly I learned Chloe doesn't play like that. And then Dee Dee and Juicy can relieve her when she needs a breather or when, she's trapped and they throw it to one of the wing players. They can bring the ball up the floor for us. And then you have to know that all you got to do is throw the ball inside. I mean, how difficult is it to get the ball to a 6'7" kid and a 6'5" kid? So that helps as well.
We have two in the back row here, right on the aisle.
Hi, good morning, Coach. Hi, I'm Cecilia Carter-Smith from Hamilton, Ontario. Coach, I'm curious about the number 7. I don't know if you've given much thought to it, but you want to know 5, 12, and this is 19. Have you given much thought to that this is the kind of the year of destiny?
No, I haven't. But if you say so, I believe you. Okay, I don't give much thought to it, but yeah, that is kind of unique, isn't it? I don't know.
Question right back here.
Hi, Sierra Webster with the Daily Emerald. Can you talk about Oregon's offensive threats and kind of what your plan is to counter those?
I won't tell you my plan. Is that fair enough? I will tell you that it all starts with Sabrina. What a talent. What a joy to watch if you're not having to play against her. The thing that I love more than her talent is I love the way she competes. She's got that oomph in her. And, she makes everybody around her better. She's just a special, special talent. And that's where I'll start and probably stop and answer your question. All those kids know she makes them better. And she'll get the ball to them in spots where it makes them look good. She's certainly not the only great player on that team, but it starts and stops with her. You're
Question
welcome.
over here on the aisle.
Hi, Kelly Whiteside from the New York Times. Kim, can you just describe Dee Dee's impact during the tournament, both on both ends of the court, and just her personality and what she brings to the team?
Well, let's start with her personality. She's just a joy. She is the light in our locker room, on the floor. She keeps everything light but yet serious because of how she plays. She plays so hard, and she's just got personality plus. You talk about her basketball on the floor. She and Lauren Cox are our defensive stoppers, and we go as those kids go on the defensive end. Now, a lot of people want to talk about her being an offensive liability. Well, if you saw the last 3 or 4 games, I don't think you'd say that anymore. She has a knack for cutting to the basket, a knack for getting offensive boards, a knack for leaking out in transition. And our posts have played with her so much now that they know they can find her. She is just pleasant, vocal, prissy, girly. That's Dee Dee.
Question we have time for 3 more.
Sassy may be a better word. I don't know. A little bit of all of it.
We'll take one right here, and then we'll go to the back, and then over here on the left.
Hey, Coach, after you guys knocked off Iowa, you're very passionate about making it here for your seniors, for your players. What did it mean being here for the university?
Well, it's a positive. And You know, back in 2005, we went through a lot at our university the previous year. And we were the shining light of Baylor University, if you will remember. That was the big theme, is that women's basketball quickly erased a lot of the negative. We've certainly been through some negative here the last couple of years, and I'd have to think this is a positive that will help a lot of people heal.
Question in the back, standing in the back.
Coach Andrew Hobner from KZI out of Eugene. Dee Dee said in the locker room that she didn't see herself as a defensive stopper when she first came to Baylor, and said the one way she knew she would get on the floor for you would be to play defense and become that stopper. What's her evolution been since she first stepped on campus to filling in the role that she's played, especially down the stretch here?
When you sit in a recruit's home, they all hear me talk about that. Reality really doesn't hit them until they go to their first week of practice, and they're like, huh. And then you separate the pretenders from the contenders. You know, who's really going to be the one that contends and really, really buys into that defensive stopper. And Dee Dee had the length on the perimeter. She had the quickness. She had the personality to do it. And she just, from day one, got my attention. Now, she was inexperienced as a freshman. You know, she had her lunch handed to her by upperclassmen that we would face. But she has just evolved in that, I'm going to figure this out. Her activity and her effort was always good. But it was just footwork and principles and, you know, running into screens, when to go on, you know, listens to a scout report really, really well. And now what she's so confident at doing is kind of like Lauren Cox. It's not just my man. I've got to help everybody on this floor. I've got to know when to go help. I've got to just, you know, do some things instinctively on the floor that may not be something Coach told me to do. And she does a lot of that for us now because she's comfortable.
We'll take one final question back here on the side.
Hi, Coach. Olivia Stacey with Spectrum Sports. You're the only coach here who has played in and won a national championship. How do you feel that shapes the advice that you do give your players?
Well, I don't know that there is any advantage. I think the way I coach, I am able to do and say things that maybe a lot of coaches aren't comfortable saying and doing, because I coach with passion. I coach with a great level of intensity. I'm not so smart that I'm never wrong. I tell them when I'm wrong in a locker room. And kids feel that. Kids know. And so they allow me to really push them beyond limits that they think they even have in their body, but they know it's not to harm them in any way. And when you feel that from a coach, they'll run through that wall for you. And, you know, I was coached by the greats, Leon, Pat Summit. And certainly I don't do some of the things that they did back in the day, but I incorporate that passion and intensity into my own funny, quick-witted personality. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the things I say to those kids, and they just roll their eyes, but it's who we are. And I hope that I never, ever have to deal with some of the things coaches are dealing with, because they just know Kim is real. She's real. She says things people are afraid to say. She means no harm. She doesn't want to offend anybody. She just wants those kids to have the most wonderful experience in basketball and leave Baylor with a college degree.